We didn't do the intro right. There we are. Now the intro's done right. Yeah, we won't reveal. I guess we'll reveal the guests when we finally start the show.
Oh, well, I put it on Twitter about 10 minutes ago.
Spurs playing a lot better. Wemby finally playing with some ganas. The team finally playing with some ganas now that they have.
Wemby was bodying up some players yesterday.
Yeah, now that they have the return of Devin Vassell, what I was saying all along is that Devin Vassell, he takes that offensive scoring load off of Wemby and allows Wemby to play a little bit better.
I like what Drusha was saying. There needs to be an alpha on the court, and Vassell's more than happy taking that role.
Yeah,
that's why I love him. You know, it's funny because people coming out on Twitter today, we got receipts about you. Dude, I've talked crap about every Spurs player. Okay? Vassell included, and I love him.
Put on the chat. What's up, Sam Salinas? Good morning, good morning. Hooper Flash is watching. Good morning, Spurs fans. ¿Qué onda, Sananto? Mario Cavazos is here. Good morning, Mario. Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate y'all. Chris Gonzalez here in the chat. Good morning, Chris. July 26th. Puro pinche Spurs. You know, that's how you know you arrived at a real Mexican restaurant, like I always say. When it's a little hole-in-the-wall place,
yeah,
the lady comes over and asks if you want mas café or you want an Sprite. You want an Sprite? I'm like, this place is legit, dude.
I'm already looking forward to lunch, man.
Yeah. Incoming. Wemby is an all-time great, fans. If you guys want to continue your Sohan Love Fest, then I'm going to jump on the Vassell train and say he's making a big difference. Vassell is making a difference, man.
Dude,
sorry, dude.
Coming off the bench, in fact.
Yeah, he has a minutes restriction. They're trying to get him, back to form.
Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
It's Tuesday in San Antonio. My name is Mike Jimenez. That's Joe Garcia. This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the west side of San Antonio. 1,062 subscribers strong on YouTube right now. We're inching closer and closer to 1,100, Joe. Having a fantastic day so far. Happy Veterans Day, by the way. Belated Veterans Day out there. We took the day off because of the federal holiday. But thank a veteran. It doesn't have to be Veterans Day. I did that over the weekend, Joe. I was in Fredericksburg. Yeah. And I love the guys that wear the Vietnam vet or the Korean War hats. They want to be identified as such. They wear them every day. Man. And I thank them for their service every time I saw one, man. Thank you for your service. And, dude, I've had people come up to me, like the granddaughters of these guys, say, thank you so much, man. They sometimes feel like they're forgotten. Yeah. But thank you to all the veterans. I don't care if you served 2 years or you served 30 years. Spernandez, one of our avid listeners and followers, and he's part of our network. Thank you for your service. And those of you who have also been part of, whether it be the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard. Thank you for your service. My former father-in-law, Sergeant Major Rosalino Villafor, 30 years Army. He passed away a few years ago. You think about him. My daughter had a tribute to him yesterday on social media. So we're still think about him, 30 years of service. It's a good day in San Antonio because the Spurs won by 20. Joe, we were asking the question yesterday. Our good friend Matt Laramie asked the question on Twitter Spaces yesterday. When was the last time the Spurs won by 20? Believe it or not, I looked it up. Yeah. Spurs did it 3 times last year. Spurs won only 22 games last season, but 3 of them were by 20 or more, including back-to-back games, Joe. God. In January of this past season, well, that would be January of 2024, the Spurs had back-to-back 20-point victories. One of them was against the Pistons, who absolutely suck. But Spurs last night beat a good team, beat the Sacramento Kings yesterday, 160-96. We're going to go all over into this game because there's a lot to get into about it. We're going to have a special guest, reunited with James Pledger. He's I Am Pledger on Twitter of San Antonio Sports Star, the host of Extra Innings over there, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Good friend of mine, one of my besties. He's going to be on today in about 15 minutes or so. We're just going to be talking Spurs, man. Yeah. Sometimes the fireworks happen. Sometimes they don't.
Did you see the video I have for you when you flip-flop?
Oh, yeah, I did. You know.
The chanclazo.
You know, I mean, come on. Is it a flip-flop or is it just evolving over time? You know, people are like, do we have receipts over you? Because you said this about this player. Dude, I've said crap about all the players, dude, over the years, okay? Call them receipts if you want, but I have opinions, baby. They're not always correct, but I think more often than not, they are. So let's talk about the Spurs. We're going to have they win by 20. You know, Spurs are inching closer to 500, one game below 500 right now. Dude, the Atlanta Hawks, man. You see their injury report? The entire team's injured. And I'm looking at the Atlanta Hawks schedule. We're going to talk about that because that schedule is getting worse and worse for them. That pick might get meatier and juicier as the time goes on. We'll talk about that.
You know what got meatier and juicier?
What's that?
Wemby's game.
Dude, best game.
He played with ganas finally.
I know. It's funny because a friend of mine pointed out the fact that he shot 6 for 12 from 3 yesterday. And of those 6 missed 3-point attempts, 3 of them were air balls. he made 6. He bricked 3 and he airballed 3.
Yeah.
But I guess overall the average is what you want it to be.
His shot is looking good because, I mean, they're actually going down. He's actually moving away from the 3-point line a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that length, you know, he's putting that to use. So I like what I saw out of him yesterday. Played with ganas. This was Devin Vassell's game.
Yeah.
2 back, you know. And I think Devin Vassell, as I was talking with you off air here, saying that Devin Vassell helps space the floor. He takes that scoring load off of Wemby, allows him to play his more natural position.
He wants the ball, dude.
He's the alpha.
He's the alpha. And we all want, hope, and pray that Wemby is going to be the alpha. Maybe it's just that he's just 20. Maybe he's just 20.
Devin got that dog in him.
Devin's also the highest paid Spur. He should be the alpha.
He got that dog in him.
And we're gonna get to that super chat in a second. But here's the thing. It's been 10 days, Joe. We still don't know exactly what's going on with Pop. Remember when they released the news and he was out indefinitely? And they mentioned 3 games. They mentioned the Timberwolves game, the game against the Clippers, and against the Rockets, right? That's 3 games. It's been 6, and it doesn't sound like he's coming back anytime soon. So I have a poll on Twitter at MJ Acquired Taste, and I'm not trying to be distasteful when it comes to this, but I'm asking the question, should the Spurs give an update on Pop and be more upfront about what the heck is going on?
Because I kind of have a pushback on that because I'm like, the fans, they've already told the fans that he's going to be out indefinitely, right? And when you have a medical issue, that's personal, right? So but it's up to you to decide what you want to say or not.
But do you know what's personal? Our money. And the people who pay tickets to go watch the Spurs and they pay Pop's salary,
look at that.
They've paid tickets thinking that he was going to be the head coach. So I'm going to play devil's advocate against myself because I'm kind of like, I see both sides of the argument. I'm not gonna stick to one and say this is a hot take. The Spurs should be doing this and the other. But at the same time, if this was Devin Vassell, if this was
Wemby,
we would have already known, right? So, you know, why should coaches be treated differently than players? I guess is what I'm asking. So we'll get into that a little bit. Dak Prescott's out for the year. Finally decided to have surgery. He was fighting back against it. Originally didn't want to have that surgery, right? He wanted to potentially come back, but this is Cooper Rush's team for the rest of the year.
Vamos Rush, and then he shit the bed.
So we're going to get into that again. James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star will be on in the next few minutes as we debate sports. Sometimes we have fireworks, but it's not contrived. It's one of my best friends. We're going to have a good time talking to him about all things sports.
Everybody's saying Pledge is going to cook.
Let's see. Let's see. We have a $5.47 super chat coming in from the Drew Show. Again, you can bless our show by leaving us a tip or giving us a super chat here. Keeps the lights on over here. Says, quote, if Jimenez hasn't talked S about you and flip-flopped on it, you ain't worth talking about. Give me a grito and a chancla, please. No. $5.47. You get it.
There it is. And then you want the grito? We'll go ahead and do the grito.
That's Drew Show right there in the Market Square over there. Drew Show, thank you for the super chat, my man. Very, very, very cool, man. Lots to get into today, Joe.
Look at, I like this comment. Sam Salinas, the Hawks.
Pick is getting thick. Pick with 2 C's. Very nice. You know what? Let's talk about that for a little bit, man, because the Atlanta Hawks, the Spurs have their unprotected first-round draft pick. The Spurs also have a top 10 protected pick from the Chicago Bulls. Also have a top 14 protected pick from the Charlotte Hornets, right? So we're keeping an eye on that pick. And what happened when the season started, Joe? Atlanta was 2-0. And we were like, oh, my God, they might actually be a decent team. Well,
People
not anymore.
Scared. Fans were getting scared.
Not anymore, man, because that team has started to bottom out a little bit. And now they have a ton of injuries. Atlanta, who started out 2-0, is now 4-7, which means what? They've lost 7 out of 9 games. And I'm taking a look at their injury report, Joe. Bogdan Bojanovic, hamstring, out. Kobe Buffkin, shoulder, out. DeAndre Hunter, personal reasons, out. Some dude named Vitt, abductor strain, out. Cody Zeller, out. Trae Young, Joe, their star, Achilles tendonitis, out. Remember I told you about this, Joe? Trae Young, a lot of Spurs fans wanted Trae Young to come to the Spurs, and I was kind of like, I'd be okay with it. I don't know if that's the superstar I want, but I'd be okay with it. Trae Young is always hurt, dude. He always misses 20 games a season, right?
Yeah.
Why does he miss 20 games per season? Because he always has these nicked up injuries. He's small.
Got little baby legs. You know who else is always hurt too? Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Joel Embiid is just bad feet. But Trae Young is out, and I'm looking at it, Joe, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're 4-7, right?
Yeah.
How far can the bottom fall out of this Atlanta Hawks team? And I think it is.
Already out of playoff contention.
Dude, their schedule is going to get rough because guess who they have that game, their next game at Boston. Think they're going to beat Boston, Joe?
Nah.
Okay, now they have a couple of easy games. They've got the Wizards and they've got the Blazers. They might get one of those games. I don't know if Trae Young's out. They probably won't get either one. But then they got the Kings and they got the Bulls on the road. They got the Warriors. They got the Mavericks. They've got back-to-back games against the Cavaliers. They've got the Pelicans. They've got the Lakers. They've got the Bucks. They've got the Nuggets. And then they've got the Spurs, Joe. That's a rough stretch for the Atlanta Hawks right there. I did the math, Joe. I think they'll be 6-14.
Think so?
I think they'll be 6-14.
Damn.
And the Spurs are going to be looking over at a potential top 5 pick over there if the bottom falls out for the Atlanta Hawks. Fantastic, baby.
Yeah. Spurs, next opponent is going to be tomorrow at 7. They're going to face the Wizards, and the Wizards, all right. They're all right.
They're all right. And the Spurs going to get to 500, man. And you know what? Part of this could be because of a variety of different things.
Yeah.
Joe, I mean, let's talk about that, Joe, because why are the Spurs playing better than before? Could it be a variety? And I'm trying not to be insensitive here. God, how do we say this, Joe? I'm trying not to be insensitive here.
But you're going to be.
No, I'm trying, baby. I'm trying, my man.
I'm trying not to be insensitive, but I'm going to be.
Okay, so various factors for why the Spurs are playing a little bit better. And they beat a good team by 20 yesterday. I know they lost to Utah over the weekend. I get it, right? So they're not playing like consistent. But what we saw yesterday was a team that was inspired by Devin Vassell coming off the bench. I mean, Devin Vassell has been the Spurs, leading scorer for many years, the past few years. Devin Vassell, highest paid Spur player. He's a good player, dude. He's a good offensive player. Typically averages about 19 points per game. He's on a minutes restriction, as Joe mentioned earlier in the show.
22 minutes, 23 minutes.
They're bringing him off the bench. But when he's on there, Joe, he's not trying to find his way back onto the team. He's not trying to find a role or fit into a spot. Joe, Vassell's coming into play, man. I know he was only 3 for 9 yesterday, but he knocked down 3 3-pointers. Vassell just looks the part, Joe. We talk about the alpha mentality. the alpha mentality on a basketball court. There needs to be one. What did we say the Spurs were a couple weeks ago? We used the word soft.
Yep, they're
Right?
playing soft.
Devin Vassell is not soft. Devin Vassell plays with balls.
Yeah, he got some dog in him, man. That's what we need.
And you see him on the court doing that. All of a sudden, some of the pressure gets off of Wemby.
I'm telling you, man.
And Wemby gets to be himself. Like, okay, we already have an alpha on the court. I don't have to be the alpha. Great. Let me go off and just do Wemby things. Wemby had his best game of the year last night.
And what did he shoot from beyond the arc? He shot pretty good.
6 for 12. Now, I know that 50% is really good. I don't want him shooting 12 3-pointers. Right?
It's one game.
It's one game.
It's one
He
game.
made 6 of them. Airball 3, clanked 3, but 6 for 12 is not bad. 13 for 22. Fantastic game, dude.
But you
very
liked it.
efficient. Very
He
efficient.
He got better.
Dude, stop the one leg 3-pointers, dude. Stop them, okay? 34 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. I mean, that's an all-world game, dude. That is all-star potential, Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama, his totals for the season, he's inching closer to 20 points per game. He's at 19.7 with 10.5 rebounds per game. Again, his shooting is getting closer to 45%. He's starting to get a little bit better, a little bit more efficient.
Look
Very
at
good.
Sith. Sohan will be shipped to China.
See,
Mike.
and that's where we need to get into that, man. Because, again, by the way, you can be part of our
Oh,
show
God.
by leaving a comment on our YouTube stream. We have Matt Lerma, Sith Elias. We have Garrett from the Netherlands. We have Mario Cavazos in July 26th. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Joe, I brought up the fact that maybe it's more than just Devin Vassell being out there. Maybe it's the fact that the Spurs have offensive-minded players on the court. And this was not a Mario Cavazos is bringing this to mind. Mario Cavazos on our YouTube stream right now says maybe Sohan should come off the bench along with Keldon to bring instant energy.
You think Castle's that guy that needs to be in the starting 5? I do. He's a good player.
Dude, and a lot of Spurs fans got a butt hurt yesterday on social media when I said describe the Spurs offense with Sohan out of the game. And they were like, you see, you're talking crap about Sohan. I said, no, I said nothing, Joe. I said nothing. I wanted Spurs fans to tell me what they see. Okay, because I'm going to read it, Joe. I'm going to read it again. Word for word what I said. I was very deliberate in how I said this. I asked the question, Spurs fans, fill in the blank. The offense without Jeremy Sohan looks ... And people got butthurt, Joe. Did I say it looked better? Did I say it looked worse? I wanted to see what people thought.
Yeah.
2/3 of the people came out and said, hey, we're going to defend Jeremy Sohan because we know that we're reading between lines. You're trying to talk crap about him.
Right on cue. Here comes El Jefe. Which I like.
Yeah.
Jeff always keeping you honest. But this is what you put. Fill in the blanks. The Spurs offense without Jeremy Sohan looks like, and then our good friend Angel too. He put a post of you or your tweet from 2023. Jeremy Sohan's a bust. I'm done por vida. And then this one was a good one too. April the 12th. Maybe fire Sohan. Keldon Vassell.
like the Drew Show said in the super chat, if I haven't talked crap about you, are you really worth a damn? But I wanted to see what people think because and people still want to hold on to Sohan. And I gave Sohan his flowers earlier in the season, right?
Sohan was playing. He still was playing good before he got injured.
Well, because he was playing his true position and he was getting close to the basket. He wasn't chunking up a bunch of 3-pointers. He was playing within himself. And he played better. There you go.
That's worthy of the chanclazo.
No, because I said that from the get-go, Joe. I said that for 2 years.
You've been saying that he was bad. He was a bad player.
He was a terrible point guard, Joe.
Didn't
But
like
here's
him.
the thing, Joe. Here's the thing. Without him on the court, what do you got? You have Stephon Castle out there playing offense. And I know Castle's not the greatest shooter in the world, but he's somebody who can move the offense going, right? Get the offense going, plays good defense. He's a good passer. He has good vision, has good basketball IQ. You have Vassell out there who's an extra shooter, right? You have Mamu out there playing alongside of Wemby, and Wemby tends to like playing alongside with Mamu. Mamu had 9 points last night. Obviously, the Spurs take a back seat a little bit when it comes defensively because Sohan's a better defender than anybody that they're going to plug in. But offensively, Joe, the ball moves around a little bit better. Is it wrong to say that, Joe? And people are like, well, imagine if Sohan comes back to all the... No. It's not the same, Joe, because when Sohan comes back, whatever part of the formula that was being used to make the offense look better gets removed.
So you're saying maybe have him come off the bench with Keldon?
No, I don't know what I'm saying, Joe. I don't have...
Is it possible you can have Keldon and Castle on the court at the same time?
That's what they've been doing. And Mamu and
Hey.
Vassell.
Say what you will about Mamu, but Mamu brings some energy, man.
Like, I wish everyone had Sohan's heart. I wish they had Sohan's desire.
Sohan's heart and Mamu's energy.
Right. That's what we wish. But the fact of the matter is that when you watch them play offensively, I was looking around going, hate to point out the fact that the offense looks better. And it looks better because of efficiency, right? It doesn't look better by defensive standards because people are like, well, Michael, on the Twitter spaces that Matt Larama did yesterday, they were like, well, Michael, he holds down defenders at a 32% and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But offensively, he is a black hole. And there's got to be some sort of realization that, well, maybe the Spurs offense runs better when he's not out there. Now, I don't think we can say that definitively yet, but maybe 10 games down the road, we can look at it and go, maybe he's expendable. I'm not saying that yet, but maybe, just maybe. Sith coming out saying small ball. That's what they're doing. You know, he's talking about Sohan, Mamu, Vassell, Keldon, and Wesley. Now, dude, Chris Paul's been playing a lot better, man. Knocked down a three-pointer to end the first half. Was knocking down threes. It's nice to see Chris Paul have a pulse out there. Last night, Julian Champagnie, 3 3-pointers shot, 13 points, 6 rebounds. Harrison Barnes with 10 points off of 3 of 6 shooting. Played 30 minutes. Wemby again with 34 points, 14 rebounds. Chris Paul, 5 of 8 shooting, knocked down 2 3-pointers, 12 points. Stephon Castle started last night, 31 minutes, 10 points, 6 assists, Joe. When you have Chris Paul and Stephon Castle combining for 17 assists, good things might happen. Mamu off the bench played more minutes than Zach Collins. Mamu had 9 points on 3 of 5 shooting. Those 3 shots, Joe, were all 3-pointers. Keldon, 11 points off the bench. Devin Vassell, 12 points off the bench. Spurs shot 48% from 3 last night, Joe. 22 of 46. They shot. When you're making that percentage of 3-pointers, Joe, you're going to win games. And I know the Spurs still had a lot of turnovers, 16 for the game, but man, most of those were in the first half.
Yeah, they cleaned it up
in the second half.
Yeah, Mitch Johnson and one of the other assistant coaches, they had been talking with the Spurs, and Mitch Johnson kind of gave them a speech at halftime, you know, letting them know they need to clean that aspect of the game up. He's told them to the effect that they're beating themselves because of all the mistakes, turnovers that they keep, making throughout the game. And they listened to him and they answered, and they had less turnovers in the second half. I like this comment here from Bear County Social Apparel. Shout out to you. He says, love CP3 for his leadership, but he can't play defense for shit.
Yep.
Can't.
So, Joe, let's talk about Mitch Johnson, head coach of the Spurs. Interim head coach of the Spurs, sorry. Okay. Drew Show with another super chat saying, quote, I was typing a black hole. The words came out. Okay, I called Jeremy Sohan a black hole when it comes to the offense sometimes because the ball kind of slows down a little bit, right? He's not the best offensive player. But Mamu is a better running mate offensively. Mamu's not as good defensively as Sohan. Sohan's better defensively than every player on the Spurs roster except for Wemby. I get that. But offensively, it flows better, dude. It just does. At least it does so far. We're going to have James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star on in a moment. He just texted right now saying that he just got to the office, so he'll be
I got you.
jumping on in a few minutes.
See if
But-
the Elias wants me to share the picture of
The flip-flops?
the flip-flops that they made.
Appreciate that, dude. Appreciate that.
Hey, the listeners take the time to make the picture. We got to show
We got to
it.
show it, dude. So Various on our YouTube streams, it says, great question last night, Mike, about Sohan. Some fans are just sensitive about certain players. It's crazy. Again, as I said, Joe, we're going to have this go out 10 more games because Sohan will miss that much time, right? 10 more games, and we're going to look and see what this offense is going to be like. And we might actually have an answer as to whether or not offensively this team looks better without him. And then we have to ask the question, what happens when it comes to the starting lineup?
Look at July 26th. Look at he's kind of siding with you a little bit. Look what he has to say.
Yeah, July 26th saying Mitch doing good so far, dealing with all those injuries. I asked the question on Twitter, give Mitch Johnson a letter grade as head coach of the Spurs, because yesterday
See what they
was
said.
his sixth game. Yesterday was his sixth game, and he's 3-3 now, Joe. 3-3. And you know what? Last I checked on this, Joe, more than 80% gave him either an A or a B. So if I was to ask you that question, Joe, because I have it right here, give Mitch Johnson a grade, A, B, C, or a DF.
Let's see. I'd give him a solid B so far.
Okay, so 66.5. We have 155 votes. 66.5% saying that Mitch Johnson deserves a B. 13.5 saying an A. So look at that, Joe. That is 80% of Spurs fans giving him an A or a B grade as head coach. Again, now 3-3, right? They played Minnesota. They played the Clippers. They played the Rockets. They played the Jazz. They played the Trailblazers. They played the Kings, right? Some good teams, some bad teams. They're 3-3 under Mitch Johnson. 18% gave him a C. Only 1.9%, Joe, giving a D or an F to Mitch Johnson.
He's doing a good job.
39 years old, Joe.
He's young.
Never been a head coach. He was a finalist for another job earlier in the offseason.
Yeah.
You take a look at this guy, Joe. We've asked the question, who's going to replace Pop?
Might be Mitch Johnson.
Mitch Johnson during a timeout in the third quarter. Spurs had a big lead. It started to contract a little bit. You saw the Kings make a run. He called timeout. Guess where he was when the players met up with him?
You're right in their face.
He was right in their face at the free throw line. He's not sitting back like a little wallflower going, I'm not going to say anything to these guys. I'm just the interim head coach. He marched his ass to the free throw line and said, you come over here. We're not going to do this at the bench. We're coming over here. And I saw that, and I was like, that's my guy right there. That's my guy. I'll ride or die with that guy.
Look at this. Tavares is saying, what happens to Trae Jones?
Trae Jones is just a dude, man. Just a dude. Sith coming out saying B stands for better than Pop.
Oh, my
But he's saying
God.
that's something that I would say. Now, Joe, Mitch Johnson has lineups that are different, right? So I was asking the question, Joe, how much autonomy does he have? Like, is he calling Pop's plays? Or is it one of those things where he's the coach and he's the interim coach and he's thinking to himself, you know what? I'm going to run things my way. I'm going to do things the way that I want to do. I want to have lineups out there. For example, Joe, Mamu played 16 minutes. Zach Collins played 13. That's a change, right? Because typically it's what? Zach Collins playing 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, 20, 22 minutes. And you have you have Mamu playing 9. It's usually mop-up time. Keldon Johnson getting 25 minutes. We saw Blake Wesley with 11. We're seeing a starting lineup there, Joe, where you would think you put in a big, right? Because you lost Sohan.
Yeah.
Instead, he's like, nah, we're going to put in Castle. We're going to have a Chris Paul, Stephon Castle backcourt.
Stephon Castle plays really good defense, man. I'm not going to lie.
Collectively, 22 points, 17 and 10 rebounds.
Yeah, we got Pledger coming. But here's a comment incoming right now from Big Sean PD. Mitch is definitely the successor. He says the Spurs moves are all calculated.
And I like what I see out of Mitch Johnson so far, man. I like it a lot. Do you know what I love, Joe? I love me some James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star.
Yeah, but Pledger's screen is all black.
We are going to be reunited in a minute because he is going to come on right now. I see that he's trying to log on to the system. But
Yeah.
Joe, last night, Wemby went off. Wemby went off. Can this be a consistent thing for Wemby? Because you look at the last 5 games that he's played, last 5 games, doing better, Joe. Doing better. 24 points against the Jazz, 34 points against the Kings, 24 points against the Clippers. He's averaging about 21, 22 points per game the last 5 games or so, Joe.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, there he is,
There's our
the man, the myth, the legend, James Pledger of San Antonio Sports Star, host of Extra Innings, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. That's on 94.1 FM, San Antonio Sports Star. Pledge, how you doing, my man?
What's going on, brother?
Dude, we're singing the praises of Mitch Johnson right now, man. Mitch Johnson now 3-3 as head coach of the Spurs on an interim basis. Do you like what you see of Mitch Johnson so far?
I mean, yes and no. If I give him a grade, it'd be like a C+. He's 3-3, man. He got stomped by the Rockets. He lost the game he shouldn't have to the Jazz, a team that's actively trying to get Cooper Flag. Like, yes, there are faults in it. He's also beaten the Kings and Timberwolves during this time. So, like, there's good and bad when it comes to Mitch Johnson. The team hasn't played great. He is dealing with some injury, and we finally saw a Wemby performance that we needed to see last night.
Yeah, so the Spurs won yesterday by 20 points. That happened 3 times last season. Spurs won by 23 times last season. It's our first big win of the year. Spurs are getting closer and closer to 500. I just looked at last night's game, Pledge, and I thought to myself, I think that Mitch Johnson is putting his fingerprints all over this team. Because I think he's doing a little bit differently than what Pop would have done. Stephon Castle being inserted into the starting.
Of course you do. You're an ageist.
Yes, I am. Very much so. Father Time always wins, and I like going with the player that bats 1,000. Right? Father Time always wins. But I like what I see out there of certain players out there.
And the guy that replaces the legend always loses. So 6 in one, half a dozen in the other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to replace it at some point, dude. Everyone needs to is replaced, dude. You know, you had to replace Duncan at some point. I mean, if Duncan wanted to be out there at 50, I'm sure Spurs fans would still let him. But the fact of the matter is that Father Time's undefeated. Spurs won by 20 points last night, Pledge. Stephon Castle's development out there. I know the shot needs to improve, but do you like what you see of him so far this season and most recently in the last couple of games?
Stephon Castle's exactly who I thought he was when they drafted him. He is the guy I liked the most in the draft. There's still, like you said, some development that has to happen with his shot, but he can be successful a lot like Wemby was last season without really having that much of an effect on the offensive side of the court, even though he does have an effect on the offensive side of the court.
Pledge, I like seeing Mamu out there, man. I mean, Mamu played more minutes than Zach Collins. That's kind of a deal, man. You see Mitch Johnson come in. I think he relies on Mamu more. He looks over at Zach Collins, even though Zach Collins is making the money. I like the fact that Mamu plays so much better alongside Wemby, and I think it frees people up when it comes. I think it frees Wemby up when it comes to it all. Do you think at all? And I know your camera's going back and forth, but that's good. Do you like seeing Mamu out there more than Zach Collins?
Hold on, man. Your volume's really low. I'm seeing if I can do something to fix that.
We'll get back to Pledge in a second here. We're talking to James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star, host of Extra Innings, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Pledge, can you hear me better now?
No.
All right, you may have to come
How
back
about
in.
that, Pledge? He might have to come in and out.
Yeah. Come back in, Pledge, when you get a chance.
The problem is whatever platform we're using isn't pairing to any Bluetooth,
Oh, okay.
whether it's my car or the earbuds. So I'm sorry, what were you saying about Zach Collins?
Oh no, we were just talking about Mamu and seeing Mamu out there with Wemby. You big supporter of Mamu out there playing alongside with Wemby because it seems like it frees him up pretty well.
Yeah, Mama's last year, as a matter of fact, he was, great down the stretch playing with Victor Wembanyama. It was one of the things I wanted to see more of when we got into this year. So I'm definitely not mad that we get to see more of Mamu with Victor Wembanyama on the floor together because I do believe those two accentuate each other very well.
Devin Vassell's on a minutes restriction right now. Devin Vassell coming out there, made 3 3-pointers last night. He kind of asserted himself on into the offense yesterday. What I like about Devin Vassell is that he's not just slowly acclimating himself to the team. He's coming back into the team like, hey, this is my team. And he has that alpha mentality there, Pledge. Devin Vassell, at what point do you think that this is going to be a situation where he's going to battle Wemby for that alpha role in the team? Or do you think Wemby's okay being not that role as of right now? He's just 20 years old.
Well, the problem is Wemby doesn't necessarily seem to want that role, even though we all know that he needs to take that role. I kind of like Devin coming off the bench right now because of this minutes restriction. It gives some staggering to the offensive output a lot of the way that, we had with Manu Ginobili during the prime. Like, he finished games, yes, but like there was the initial staggering because he came off the bench with his minutes that allowed production when other scorers went to the bench. And I think that's very, very important to be able to do something like that. I don't know if this will continue, but I don't not like what I'm seeing because having Keldon be your microwave off the bench is brutal to watch sometimes.
Talking to Pledge of San Antonio Sports Car. Pledge, I got to ask you a question about Pop. It's been 10 days. And I have a poll on MJ Acquired Taste on Twitter asking the question, does Pop deserve total privacy at this time right now for whatever health condition or ailment he has? Or do fans deserve an answer? And I can see both sides of the argument, Pledge, because in one respect, I mean, it's a guy's health. He's a human being. He deserves to have some sort of privacy when it comes to whatever health goes on, right? But the other side I see it is that he's a public figure. The guy is somebody that Spurs fans go and pay money to go see coach this team. He's been with this team for nearly 3 decades. He's the leader of this team. He's a Hall of Fame head coach. And I would have hoped that the Spurs would have said a little bit more than what they've given so far, other than saying he's going to be out indefinitely. Pledge, at some point, do you think the Spurs need to give an update on Pop's condition? Or do you think at this point they can just go on and string us along indefinitely and say he's just out indefinitely?
I'm proud of you for admitting the fact that, you can see both sides of this thing. Usually you pick one side and plant your flag and then move it to the other side later. When it comes to Pop, yeah, there's this family aspect dynamic of the community that the Spurs have tried to culture, and a lot of fans are just concerned and they want to know. But yeah, medical privacy is a real thing, and I understand that he is a public figure, but he is a public figure that doesn't have to go on the injury report the same way a Tim Duncan or Victor Wembanyama or Stephon Castle has to if they have something that's ailing them, right? And so I get it, and there are HIPAA laws. So if Greg Popovich does not want to disclose this information, I get it. But at the same time, you have to understand, because of your public persona, that's going to lead to wild speculation of what could possibly be ailing you. And I've jumped down my own rabbit hole of what it could potentially be that would have happened in the amount of time that it happened, and also led to this very just polymorphic, just answer that indefinite, don't know, foreseeable future, whatever timetable that he's on. And I'll tell you, I'm not proud of myself for going down that rabbit hole, but I mean, it's what you open yourself up to when you are a public figure in that sense. So by keeping it as quiet and as close to the vest, but this isn't new with him. Remember, we didn't know for a long time that his wife was sick.
Right.
So yeah, I respect Pop and his want to be personal with this information because of who he is. Not everybody likes to jump on TikTok and say everything that's bothering them at all times, and more power to those people. I get it. But there are a lot of people in this city that are concerned for Pop and are left to basically the problematic message that your own mind can play with you when you don't have answers. And we all have that voice inside of our head that doesn't shut up when things aren't clear.
Right, because
he's opened that to this entire city, and including some people across the nation that have mics and whatnot, that can lead to wild speculation. Now, I have my speculations of what may or may not be going on with them, but I'm in no way going to outwardly speak on those as if they were fact or could be fact. Like there is a line of just humanity of this guy wants to keep this private. And I understand that. And there are people that do that. We know people in TV that go very quiet with their cancer or things that they may be battling outside of the public eye, that they only let you know about after the fact. I think one of Dick Vitale's most recent battles with going through leukemia again, like I believe he kept this one pretty quiet until he had rung the bell this last time. So yes, I do believe that because of A, HIPAA laws, and just B, being a human being, if they don't want to disclose something this intimate about their lives that has a huge effect, I do believe that they should have that opportunity.
The longer this goes on, the more evident that this is something big.
Yeah, we have a $1.99 super chat that's asking the question.
Midtown Texas saying Mike never discloses why he misses shows. Could be because I have a girlfriend. It was her birthday last week. Photos on Twitter. Thank you for the super chat there, Midtown.
Look, I'm not going to say why Mike's missing shows because it's probably inappropriate for this platform, but we all know why he's missing shows.
So the thing about it though, Pledge, is that when this whole scenario came down 10 days ago, Joe and I looked at each other and said, this is a big deal. And people rained on us, just got all pissed at us saying, you guys are just jumping off the deep end and all of that different stuff. And I said, no, the way that it was worded was kind of weird to us, saying that it was indefinite, that he had a health condition and all of this stuff. And I told Joe at the time, I said, if it was the flu, if it was COVID, it would have been like, he'll be back in a week or two. But the word indefinite was used.
They never used that with Kawhi. That's the only phrase they had to say back then with Kawhi too. He's out indefinitely.
To be fair, Kawhi is still indefinitely out.
That's true. So then you have this whole thing about Tom Orsborn of the Express News and Don Harris of News 4 San Antonio, who have a lot of sources within the Spurs organization. saying that he's going to be okay, that he just needs rest. Then Shams Charania of ESPN coming out and saying, no, this is something serious. And the Spurs said, hey, he's going to miss the next 3 games. And they specifically said the T-Wolves game, the Rockets game, and another one of the games that they had last week, right? But now it's been 6 games. Still no update. And as Pledger alluded to, it's one of those things where we're left as fans having to try to piece together pieces of the puzzle that may or may not fit. Because you see Mike Budenholzer and you see Mike Brown come out and say, hey, we're not going to say anything. We're not going to be the ones that reveals what's going on. What did he say? Budenholzer said, head coach of the Phoenix Suns, saying, quote, no, and I will never be the one to get in trouble for leaking. Leaking what? Leaking what? Again, I understand as a man, and I said this before, my problem with Pop is that I wanted him to be out as coach 6 years ago, right? As a man, he's a man. I'm not going to like wish bad things upon him. And I want him to be fine. I want him to be healthy, right? At the same time, he like Pledge said, he's a public figure. He has been the head coach of this team for 28 years. He is a public figure. He's the highest paid coach in the NBA. He deserves.
He's not a player, so he's not subject to an injury report.
No. I get that. I get that. But the thing is that Spurs fans are going to question this at some point. Hasn't happened yet because the Spurs are 3-3 without him. It's been 10 days. I have a poll on Twitter asking the question: does he deserve total privacy?
Yeah,
total privacy, or do Spurs fans deserve some answers? And as of right now, 76%. We have 79 votes. 76% coming out and saying that he deserves total privacy. Joe, but the thing is, Joe, I asked this question 3 weeks from now. Spurs don't say anything. It's been a full month. Those numbers are going to flip.
Yeah, we got a $5 super chat. $5.40 super chat.
Will they?
They would.
From the Drew Show. He says he agrees with Pledger's assessment of Coach Pop's situation. However, we still don't know in 30 days. Greg is being selfish. Resign. That's what Drew Show is saying.
Yeah, Pledge, you asked the question, do I think those numbers will flip and the Spurs fans will be like, no, that's the whole total privacy. As of now, 10 days later, 76% saying, yes, he deserves total privacy. 76% will say we need answers 3 weeks from now if a month goes by. I know that. Because at that point, it's going to be like, well, what the hell's going on? You know, what the hell's going on?
I mean, right now it's what the hell is going on. But people, and this is probably above your head because you'd rather be right than anything else most of the time in your life. But I do think people have a human side to them. And when it comes to critical illness or serious condition, however it was phrased by Shams Charania in his tweet, I think that takes the gloves off in terms of, all right, we don't need answers. We just need you to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Shams Charania, again, reporting a little bit more serious of a tone when it comes to Greg Popovich. Pledge, we got to talk about your Houston Texans real fast, man. Can we switch it to NFL real fast?
God.
Sure, they choked. What else do you want to know?
Dude, I mean, is it simply as simple as, hey, let's get Nico Collins back? Nico Collins expected to be back this week. He was questionable going into the game against the Lions. Going to be back this week. Is that going to be the magic thing that solves what's going on offensively for the Houston Texans?
Magic solved that makes them a Super Bowl contender? No, because the main issues still underlie. Nico Collins is he's like a cover up for those issues. Yes, they will win games. Yes, they will win more games because he is a part of it. Yes, he helps solve some of the offensive line issues in terms of getting involved in the quick game and the screens and the short slants and things that he does extremely well, having the ability to read the defensive coverage and adjust with CJ on the fly. And it's obvious that they have that rapport, and he's missing that rapport with any other receiver on the team right now, especially with Steph Diggs gone. But does it fix them? No, it doesn't fix anything. It just maxes them. The issues are still the issues, and a lot of the issues revolve around the play calling and the offense as a whole. You're up 23-7 in the second half with 5 turnovers. There is a 0% chance you should lose that game.
Right.
And there is an above 0% chance that you should not score a single point in the second half. And your only attempt at points was a 58-yard field goal to try and take the lead when the score was tied, and you end up giving them the ball at midfield to only have to move like 20, 25 yards to even get into field goal range for them to beat you as time expires. Like, those are issues with the coaching staff, with Bobby Slowick, with D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans coaches in a lot of ways like Bill O'Brien with a lead. He gets scared once he has a lead that he's going to lose it instead of increase it. And that just allows teams back into games by your conservative play calling nature and playing with a lead. You need to put your foot on people's throats at times. And yes, that is a potential to open up the gate to allow teams to come back in. But if you're functioning at a high enough clip, then that's not an issue. What you're really just trying to do is protect against turnovers at that point.
Right.
I just don't understand how limiting an offense in any way, shape, or form is ever a good way to go about offensive production, unless you're talking about trying to milk away a clock in the final 2 minutes because you're trying to get them out of timeouts and past the 2-minute warning. Then I understand more vanilla play calling in terms of holding on to a lead. But when you've got a big lead and you go, it's like having a big lead and going into a prevent defense because you're afraid of giving up a big shot play. It usually works against you 80% of the time when your defense has been balling out 100% of the time playing the other way.
Well, we talk about this all the time. You know, you play to win in the first half, and then you play not to lose sometimes in the second half, and that was the problem. They took their foot off the neck of the Lions, and it came back to bite them. They're still 6-4. They're still first place in the division by 2 games. They have a gimme game this weekend, or this upcoming Monday night, on the road against the Dallas Cowboys, favored by 7 points. Cowboys without Dak Prescott. The rest of the year was announced today that Dak Prescott's going to miss the rest of the season, going to have surgery tomorrow. This is a gimme, right? This is an automatic win, automatic dub for your Houston Texans.
No game with this Texans team is a gimme because of how they play. Until they learn to finish a game, play a complete game, show up in the second half. Like, no game is a gimme for the Houston Texans because they muddy games up so much that it gives other teams a chance to hang around and upset them, like what happened with the Jets, like what.
Nope, kind of lost pledge there for a second. See if he can come back on. We have a $5.47 super chat coming in from the Drew Show saying, what? It was D'Amico's fault that CJ Stroud threw a duck into the end zone that turned a TD into an INT. Tisk, tisk. That's the thing, man. You know, the Texans, we talked about this the other day, Joe. The Texans are they're a bad 6-3 team.
But they're still better than the Cowboys. I fully expect the Texans to beat the Cowboys handedly.
Sam Salinas on our YouTube stream saying the Texans will destroy the Cowboys.
Yeah, no doubt there. I no lies detected in that sentiment there.
Right now, the Dallas Cowboys, according to Tankathon right now, they've lost 4 games in a row, would be drafting number 11 in the 2025 NFL draft. My Saints, who somehow pulled out a victory against Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons over the weekend. My Saints get a victory, and it pissed me off, man. It pissed me off. Getting the record of 3-7. Joe, had the Saints lost this game like they should have lost, they'd have the number 2 overall pick in the draft, man. They'd be on track for that.
You're mad because they won?
I'm mad because they won. So, we're talking about the NFL draft right now, and
I'm aware.
right now. Is it wrong of me to look at my Saints and go, "How dare you beat your rivals, the Falcons? How dare you do that?"
Yes, because guess what? You know what you're really mad about? You know what this all boils down to? LSU got their asses handed to them at night in Death Valley the night before by Alabama, and were completely embarrassed and exposed as frauds, and you're not over that.
Hey, if I'm glamping in the middle of the Texas Hill Country with no TV, does it really happen? Did it really happen? I don't know.
Yeah, it really happened, and the playoff poll is going to reflect it tonight at 7:30.
Brutal. Pledge, I miss you, my man. I love you. What have you been up to, man?
Work. Constantly working. Just, life be lifing sometimes.
So we had a super chat that was directed at you from the Drew.
Yeah, I saw Drew show.
Yeah, so he was talking about the fact that you're blaming D'Amico Ryans for a lot of the problems involving the Texans offense, especially down the stretch of the Lions. But he was saying,
he threw a pick.
CJ
it was not a great throw. He's been better, but that was one issue of an entire second half. Like, watch this team play. In the second half, they are so scared offensively to do anything wrong when they have a lead that it stifles the offense a lot of the time. And yes, CJ has been a bit of a problem this year. He has turned it over more this year. But at the same time, a lot of that is because the pressure is worse this year than it was last year somehow. And they are getting exposed on the offensive line by simple stunts and twists. And it is sped up the clock in CJ's head because he doesn't have the time he used to. And even when he does, you can see him getting anxious in the pocket because he doesn't trust it to hold up anymore. And that comes down to coaching, because you're exposing your franchise quarterback to horrendous play, and no one on that line's being held accountable up until this past week when they finally kicked Juice Scruggs out to left guard where he played last year when he came back from injury, and Jarrett Patterson back at center where he started the season because of the amount of injuries and played pretty well in that role. So they may now finally be putting the best 5 players on the field at the positions they need them.
Now your Dallas Cowboys have lost 4 games in a row. They lost to the Lions, they lost to the Niners, lost to the Falcons, lost to the Eagles.
The media's fault.
Exactly. They got the Texans next. I'm trying to figure out how many more games that the Cowboys are going to have to win the rest of the season. They've got the Texans. They're on the road against the Commanders. They're home against the Giants, Bengals, Panthers, Buccaneers, Eagles, and then again Commanders to end the They better get 4 more, Joe, because I said this was a 7-win team from the get-go. 7-win team.
I don't know if they're a 7-win team, to be honest. This is a team that very well could be playing for Travis Hunter when the draft comes around.
Dude, that's a guy that they would need, man. Dual threat, offense and defense. That is,
and not just that, but think about his playmaking ability as a receiver, not just as a defensive back, and what this team sorely lacks outside of CeeDee Lamb.
Sam Salinas says Texas.
Will they draft a running back at any point this year, though?
Okay. Genty, okay, the Cowboys, let's say they have the number 11 pick in the draft. According to Tankathon right now. Tankathon, I'm updating their mock draft right now. At 11, they have the Cowboys taking Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State. Stud running back from Boise State. I know you don't take running backs in the first round, especially in the top 15, top 20. Well, that's conventional wisdom.
Well, that's stupid wisdom.
I wouldn't mind Genty if I was a Cowboy fan.
You shouldn't.
He fills the need, and he sells jerseys. Jerry would
Is Christian McCaffrey important to the success of the San Francisco 49ers?
Is Saquon?
He went in the top 10. Saquon was the top 5 pick, Is he important to what the Eagles are doing this year and how well they're playing?
Derrick Henry.
Running backs are important. Well, Derrick Henry was a second-round pick, but look, running backs are important. They're more important than they've been in recent years because the NFL has changed from the spread it out and pass it league that it was for a few years and has gotten closer to a split between running and being able to run the ball and throw the ball. So, I mean, look at J.K. Dobbins and what he means to the Chargers. Look at Joe Mixon and what he's meant to the Houston Texans. You need a running back. Does it have to be Shinty? No, but you need a running back because Rico Dowdle ain't freaking it.
Mm-hmm.
Zeke Elliott ain't it. Dalvin Cook ain't it. You got to invest in that position because it is a much more important position to the game of football than I think anybody realized at the time. And the teams that decided not to stray away from that concept are better. I mean, look at Kansas City with what they're doing with Pacheco and now Kareem Hunt off the couch, who is a guy that, the Cowboys could have signed at any point in time this offseason.
Taking a look at the stats of drafting a running back, I find this to be interesting that back in the 90s, there were 32 running backs drafted in the first round. In the 2000s, there were, or like 2000 to 2009, another 32 were drafted. But in the 2010s, just 15. And in the 2020s, just 5. We had Jameer.
I'll tell you a running back I really like that you may not have to go with Genty.
Who's that?
Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech is going to be a hell of a back at the next level, I think.
Interesting. What do you like about him?
Vision, cutback ability, strong runner. He's utilized in their passing game, so there's that aspect to him. Taj Brooks, watch Texas Tech play. He is a hugely important piece to what most people think is a spread it out and throw it all over the yard offense.
Taking a look at his draft buzz status right now, saying that he'll be a first 2-round kind of running back, maybe second or third round pick.
I could see that.
We got a super chat incoming here from Tex-Mex Frank. He says, with the number 1 pick, Cowboys need curtains.
No, they have curtains. They're just not using them.
Yeah,
Jerry,
you got to make it look pretty above all else, even winning and losing.
Jerry Jones, man, doesn't want to admit it. Doesn't want to admit it.
I saw pictures. I think it was one of our friends. I think it was Sith Elias that put it out. They said when the WWE had WrestleMania there at Jerry World, they had
curtains
up. Yeah, they put the curtains up.
Has it for concerts, has it for everything, does it for college football. Will not do it for the Cowboys on Sunday.
Pledge, as we let you go, I want to thank you for not eviscerating me today. You even gave me a compliment when talking about Pop when I said I could see both sides of the issue.
Well, normally you don't.
I feel weird about not eviscerating me today.
Do you feel dirty for giving like a compliment?
You didn't cook me today. I mean, there was very little cooking that went on today. That just missed me.
I'm not always trying to eviscerate you just when you put your foot in your mouth and say stupid things.
Pledge, tell me about your show, man. How can we see you? How can we follow you?
Extra Innings with Pleasure, weekdays from 6 to 7 on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, on YouTube at SA Sports Star, or online at sasportstar.com. Be sure to swing through, check it out. We recap the day and get you ready for tomorrow's big events.
Very nice. That is James Pledger at San Antonio Sports Star. Tell Ryan Eagle and Minix I missed both of them. Ryan Eagle texted me the other day.
Good.
Yeah, dude, you'd be surprised, dude.
He hates baby showers, by the way.
Yeah, so I heard, but he loves Chinese.
Or gender reveal. My bad.
Gender reveals are stupid, absolutely stupid. There's not one good one at all. You know what a gender reveal is? When Gabby was born, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. That's a gender reveal. I don't even
see. This is where both you and Joe are dumb. It's not about you, dumbass.
There it is. He had to do it at least one time. That's James Pledger, 6 to 7, San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM. Thanks for being on, man. Love you, man.
Love you, brother. Joe, take it easy.
Yes, sir. See ya.
It's funny how so many people on the stream are like, he cooked you today. What was he cooking? We had a conversation. He's cooked me before. I will admit that. But this wasn't one, Joe.
He was actually pretty tame today.
Let's give some love to MCS General Contracting for that diamond hard concrete, man, because they've been with us since day one.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business. Honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
That diamond hard concrete, Joe.
Get that diamond hard concrete in your life. You need to go ahead and get a pickleball court, basketball court, parking lot for your business. Make sure you call MCS General Contracting. The chat that you boys use every day is powered by MCS General Contracting. Give them a call. Number is 210-774-9155. Tell them that Joe Garcia and Mikey Menace sent you from the Alamo City Sportscast.
Outstanding. Now, Pledger did reference the fact that tonight the rankings come out as far as the college football playoff, and now there's 12 teams that are going to be involved in there. LSU going to get kicked out of that situation because they lost to Alabama over the weekend, big time. But the AP Top 25 is out. Oregon still getting all 62 first-place votes. They're 10-0 at number 1. Ohio State moved up a spot to number 2. Texas Longhorns, after destroying Florida, up 2 spots to number 3. Penn State at 4. That Indiana team just keeps winning in the Big Ten at number 5. Tennessee with an 8-1 record moves up a spot to number 6. BYU jumps up 2 spots to 7. Notre Dame at 8-1 at the number 8 spot. Bama moves up 2 spots. Ole Miss with a big victory over the weekend, man. Ole Miss beating Georgia. That was a great win, dude, for that team.
Yeah, it was.
They move into the top 10. They moved up 6 spots to number 10. Georgia drops to 11. Can you imagine a playoff without Georgia?
Hey, man, if they got to watch it. They might be on the outside looking in.
2-loss team. Georgia drops 9 spots in the AP Top 25. Miami, Cam Ward, they were undefeated. They were playing with fire, man. Smoke and mirrors, man. They lost, dropped 8 spots to number 12. But look at this, Joe. Boise State at 13.
The Ponies.
And the Ponies, SMU, despite not losing this weekend, drops a spot to number 14. A&M hanging there at 15. And then you got Army hanging around at 16.
Still
UTSA
undefeated.
plays Army.
Oh, that's going to be
to end the season.
It's not going to be a good game, dude.
How did UTSA do? Were we off this week?
They were a bye week. Oh,
Yeah.
no, they did play, I believe.
It's sad how we don't care anymore. If UTSA isn't going to be winning titles, we don't care. UTSA 4-5. No, they were off this week. They played North Texas this weekend. They got to beat North Texas and Temple in order to be bowl eligible because they ain't going to beat Army.
Yeah, they got to win these last 2 games because that third game, now the 3 that they have left against Army at home, no, man.
It's a Friday game on ESPN2. Tickets as low as $5 at the Alamo Dome. Joe, we're going to need guest hosts on Friday. I'm going to be in Miami. Bienvenido a Miami.
There you go. Doing work.
No, just a weekend getaway. The Chica's daughter goes to college there in Miami. So she wanted to go visit and asked, hey, do you want to go hang out for a couple of days? And I said, okay. So that's why I'm going.
Yeah, part of the thing, too, is like we have undefeated teams still after week 11. Oregon, Iowa, BYU, and Army. Undefeated teams.
Midtown Texas with a hell of a comment there on YouTube saying, it's not about you, dumbass, quoting Pledger. Sith saying, clip dumbass.
I did like that. I'm going to clip that.
Very, very, very nice. We're going to talk some Spurs on the other side. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. But by the way, Joe, want to get into a conversation about what happened in Haiti, the country of Haiti, Spirit Airlines. What happened to that Spirit Airlines flight? Creepy. And what are people doing going to Haiti? Here's Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LockedOnSpurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Again, Jeff Garcia. I do it Spotify, dude. YouTube. I listen to it all the time. He has articles out today at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter and also on Kens5.com about Victor Wembanyama giving a Spurs fan a game-worn jersey after last night's game. Wemby coming off a big performance in the Spurs victory over the Sacramento Kings. Interviews with Mitch Johnson, the interim head coach of the Spurs. Fantastic stuff, man. We had a poll out today, Joe. Posted it an hour before the show, asking the question, does Pop deserve total privacy at this moment right now, or do Spurs fans deserve some answers? Joe, what do you think?
I think he deserves privacy. I think Spurs fans want answers because it's only human by nature. But at the end of the day, I think it's up to Coach Pop to share that information if he wants to.
As I mentioned, I quote saying it's been 10 days. Do Spurs fans deserve an update on Pop's condition, or does he deserve total privacy? As I said to Pledge, I can see both sides. Because on one side, it's like, dude, it's his health. If he was a player, though, it'd be publicly available.
Yeah, it'd be different.
But on the other side, Hall of Fame coach, been here for 3 decades. He has 5 rings. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's on the Mount Rushmore. You kind of want to know what's up?
He's not going to tell you.
Well, the thing is that, as I mentioned right now, Spurs fans right now are kind of hands off. They're like, okay, out indefinitely. And they're thinking to themselves, he's going to come back.
No, he might come back at some point, but even if he does come back and the media says, how's your health? What was wrong with you? What's going on? He's going to say, I'm fine.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But what I am saying, though, is that there's going to be some discontent among Spurs fans
the
longer this goes on. Because if I post this poll 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, and a full month goes by and the Spurs haven't said anything, public sentiment towards us is going to be like, dude, come on, level with us.
Yeah.
Level with us.
That's
you don't have to show us. You don't have to show us your charts, but level with us.
Yeah, it's going to be on Coach Pop.
Sam reaches out to us and says he wants basketball-related answers. Well, this is a basketball-related answer, because a basketball-related answer question is, well, then who the hell is the coach of this team? Again, Joe, I've said this right now. So this all the time, Joe. You do not start a rebuild with a 75-year-old coach. You don't. Spanish Fly. Hey, welcome. I don't remember that name.
Yeah, there he is.
Says he doesn't owe an explanation to anybody. It's a man's health.
I'm with him on that one.
If it's minor, he doesn't owe us an explanation.
I don't think he owes anybody an
explanation. If it's major and he wants to come back, then we need to know. Especially if he wants to come back. JHNSB says, Mike, you're absolutely right about the offense looking better without Sohan. Someone had to say it. Of course, I'm a dick for saying it, right?
Yeah. We also had this here by Jeff Garcia, because we just went ahead and showed Locked On Spurs.
Yeah.
As you can see, one of the stories that he had here was Mitch Johnson. He gave us a great speech at halftime. They were saying, the Spurs players were saying, just talked about us, making sure that we remain confident, and told us that we were beating ourselves, just being sloppy with turnovers. Our whole coaching staff, Brett Brown, talked to us today at shoot around and during the game. That's Jeff Garcia. He posted that right after the game yesterday night. So I just thought I'd share that. And if y'all want to go ahead and give Jeff some love, you can follow him on the X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And you can also follow the Locked On Spurs podcast on YouTube. That's 5,000 subscribers strong. Go ahead and help Jeff grow his channel. Make sure you subscribe.
Right. Does a fantastic job. Joe, did you hear what happened in Haiti over the weekend?
No, I just heard something about Spirit, but I didn't really see what happened.
So they were landing in Port-au-Prince, which is the capital of Haiti.
Yeah.
Why Spirit Airlines has a flight to Haiti, I'm not sure, because that's not a place I'd want to go. And turns out someone was shooting bullets
Oh man.
at the plane, and the plane went to the Dominican Republic instead. They're like, hey, we ain't landed. Apparently there's some political unrest going on over there. It's kind of not the safest place in the world, but they showed, and I have photos right now from, this is the cabin. This is like where people have their luggage and stuff. Bullets all through the plane. And it turns out there was a JetBlue flight that landed in New York City that came from Haiti. And when it landed, they realized, wait a minute, there's bullet holes all over this plane. It's crazy, Joe.
Civil unrest, man. Things are going awry over there. So, I mean, it's crazy how they're just shooting the planes coming in and out the country, I mean, you just think goodness that, all the people were not injured on that plane by the stray bullets there.
Someone posted on our YouTube stream a while back that, I was let go from San Antonio Sports Star. I got laid off a year ago. It happens to the best of us, and it happened apparently to Joe Pagliarulo. San Antonio radio host Joe Pags. His show canceled after nearly 2 decades. Joe Pags did his show, I believe it was in New Braunfels, right? That he was up there for quite some time. On the San Antonio airwaves for 2 decades, according to WOAI.
He's part of the iHeartRadio cuts then?
Mm-hmm. He had a daily show heard on more than 100 stations nationwide. It's still gonna stream daily, just not be heard on San Antonio.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to go onto the airwaves to, the internet to go get him.
Yeah.
Joe Pags and I got into it on Twitter one time, and we got into it on his radio show. I called into his radio show, and I went toe to toe with him. I wasn't afraid to call. I like talking, dude. My conservative friends think I'm super liberal. My liberal friends think I'm super conservative. I think I'm kind of in the middle, but no one believes me. But anyway, long story short, Joe Pags and I went on because he was being a dumbass on his show because it's all super, super, super far right wing. And I went toe to toe with him. I called into his show. He got mad. So we continued the conversation on Twitter. And guess what? He blocked me. He blocked me. He's soft. Like Kobe said, soft.
It was funny too. Seth Elias had sent this to me via direct message. And I thought this was hilarious, man. This is a guy on Wheel of Fortune, right? And he's going to solve the puzzle. And everybody's saying he's a legend. Look what he does, dude. You can tell what it is, right?
Yeah.
Let's solve the puzzle. What do you think this is?
Okay, I have an idea.
Okay.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Right? That's what it is. Give yourself a round of applause.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see what this guy said, right?
You're going to get 3 U's.
I like to solve the puzzle.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
Treat yourself a round of sausage.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, that's not it. Over to Katina.
I would like to solve.
Okay.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, that's
Treat yourself a round of sausage, bro.
That's brutal, man.
I've watched Wheel of Fortune now and then, and sometimes when they try to solve the puzzles, it's like very obvious what it is,
And
and they just botch it.
and they penalize them if they say it incorrectly. Like they're, even if they know that it's right, they say it incorrectly. Joe, the Grammy Awards, the nominations are out. Do you give any craps about it?
No, not really.
Well, we're gonna go through them anyway. No, dude, what I don't like about it, the Grammy nominations, why is Beyonce being nominated for all the country ones? Come on, dude. Do you think country music wants Beyonce to win Grammys for country music?
Her country album was pure basura, dude. Garbage.
Suck,
It's
dude.
awful.
So, record of the year, the Beatles nominated for record of the year because they had the re-recordings of their stuff. It was like lost tapes and stuff. Beyonce, Billie Eilish, Chappell Roan, Kendrick Lamar, Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift, and Charlie XCX. Album of the year, Andre 3000 is nominated along with Beyonce, Billie Eilish, Chappell Roan, Jacob Collier, Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift. It's a lot of the same people. Songs of the year: Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. That song's shit. Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. No one hears it on the radio. Good Luck Babe by Chaperone. Chaperone's all over the place.
Nobody hears Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish on the radio? Bro, it's on like all the time.
Okay, maybe it's a. You know what? Maybe I have to hear it. I like that one song that she sang from the Barbie song,
Yeah.
which won Record of the Year last year. Like, where was that ever played? I've heard it all the play.
Yeah,
I heard it in movies.
That's all I hear on the radio airwaves.
Maybe I'm listening to the wrong station.
Song, dude.
Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Dude, okay, if Kendrick Lamar wins Song of the Year for a diss track on Drake, that'd be amazing.
Drake is such a dick too, dude. He's hating on everything nowadays.
Best new artists include Sabrina Carpenter, Shabuzi, Teddy Swims. How is Sabrina Carpenter a best new artist? She's had like 5 albums out. She's also an actress, been in multiple TV shows. She was a child star.
She had some songs out, but I think now this is like her breakout mainstream
It is
album,
the breakout.
you know? And this is her breakout album. So she's a new artist from all intents and purposes. I think what she had is she just had singles.
Yeah.
She didn't have a full-on album.
Best pop duo or group performance includes a collaboration between Ariana Grande, Brandy, and Monica for a remix of The Boy Is Mine, that 90s classic R&B song. How do I not know that exists?
Look at Spanish Fly, who still listens to the radio. Left out. It's 2024. I listen to the radio, but full disclosure, I don't listen to like local radio here.
Except for San Antonio Sports Star and James Pledger 67.
Yeah, I have Sirius XM, so I'm just listening to that because of all the plethora of catalog that they have as far as songs, music, all that kind of stuff. But also they have a lot of sports that I listen to as well.
Okay, so let's talk about best rock album. The Black Crowes. They still around? I guess.
Damn, I didn't even know they still
Fontaines
making music.
DC. Green Day, Idols, Jack White, Pearl Jam, The Rolling Stones. Dude, that's all 55 and older, man. But Billy Joe Armstrong's the youngest, and what is he, 55? Pearl Jam? Really? With all due respect to Mike Taylor.
Eddie Vedder. Come on.
Come on, man.
Eddie can still sing though, man.
They haven't been good since Vitology, dude. Come on, man.
Let's still good.
Let's not pretend like everything after the first 2 albums, 10 and Vitology, were any good, dude.
No, I like beg to differ, man. Pearl Jam still makes some good songs, man.
Alternative music. Brittany Howard, Glido, Kim Gordon, Nick Cave, St. Vincent. Never heard of any of those people. R&B. Chris Brown. Dude, Chris Brown. You thought him beating the crap out of Rihanna was going to be the end of his career? Nah. Still getting Grammys. SZA. I like SZA, dude. She fine. She fine. Joe, I went glamping over the weekend.
Yeah, heard.
You know, I kind of like having TVs in hotel rooms, dude. This is the glamping is being outside in the woods. You're not roughing it, but you kind of are. You're in a cabin. There's running water and all that stuff. There's a fridge, electricity.
Yeah.
But you have no TV, no radio, nothing like that. We started a fire. It was all right.
Were you staying in a yurt?
What's a yurt?
It's one of those things that looks like a cot, like a tent, right? But it's like round in shape and it has a little roof to it.
Well, let me show you. I have some photos. This was the it was like a teepee. I don't know what to say, dude. It was like, I mean, it had a tent cover. It was chilly. It was dusty. And it was a deck. I don't know what else to describe it, man.
It was dusty. Inside it was dusty?
It was, man, because everyone walks on the gravel and it just kind of just kicks in. We had to use a like an ATV type of thing, golf cart type of thing, like a high powered one, to get into the woods to go get there. They had 10 of these tent houses, if you will. No hot tub, but you had a fire pit right there. That was pretty cool. Chica. And then we were lighting the fire.
Nice.
We had a bunch of bourbon out there. Not bad. We made our way over to Dripping Springs and went to the distilleries over there. Went to dinner at Green at the, what's it called? The grist mill. It was very nice. It's good times. We had fun. Going to be going to Miami this weekend for a couple of days. And I think that is the extent of the traveling until Christmas. So that's, Joe, me and the girlfriend, we decided we're kind of empty nesters for the most part at this point. We're like, we just like to go do stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just go do stuff. Drew shows, if you paid more than $30 a night for that, yes, eyes poked. Yeah, it was a lot more than that, dude.
Yeah, man, these outings right here to go glamping and stuff, they're expensive. I was looking to see, okay, how much are these things out in the hill country? They run you good, like $200-$300 a night, man, depending on where you're at. So I'm like, damn.
Sam Salinas asking, how many fires did you start, Mike? Winky face. I'm going to go ahead and assume that means something cochino. Dak Prescott out for the year, Joe. Should we pour one out?
Pour some out for Cowboys season, man, and pour some out for Dak Prescott. Your $60 million man, he's out.
So, Joe, there was a betting odd that was done over the weekend that we need to get into real fast before we end the show. And it was asking the question, who's going to be the Cowboys' next head coach? And a lot of Cowboy fans think that they're going to be able to get whoever they want, whenever they want, because we're the Cowboys. We're America's team. But it always appears as though the Cowboys don't get who they want, right? It's almost like they had to get the third guy. But according to Bet Online AG, here are the odds. Mike Vrabel is the favorite to be the next head coach of your Dallas Cowboys. Mike Vrabel, who's a former linebacker, played for the Tennessee Titans for many years. I'm sorry, not the Titans, the Patriots for many years. Played for the Steelers. He was a linebacker coach at Ohio State, defensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. He's been the head coach of the Tennessee Titans from 18 to 23. He's right now a personnel consultant for the Cleveland Browns. 3-time Super Bowl champion as a player. Would you be okay with Mike Vrabel being the head coach? A defensive-minded guy, or do you want an offensive-minded guy?
Well, I don't know, man. We'll see. But there's rumors that have been about that they've been linking Coach Prime to the Cowboys.
I was going to get to that in a second.
So I'm like,
What about this? What about this, Joe? What about Ben Johnson, who has the second best odds? Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions.
I wouldn't be opposed to
what
that.
he's been able to do with Jared Goff, what he's been able to do with Jahmyr Gibbs, a rookie running back, what they've been able to do with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Samuel Porta. And if you want an offensive guy, at 6-1 odds, you've got Bill Belichick.
God, man.
The hoodie.
Oh, man.
I mean, would you really be upset about that? Or is it going to be one of those things where you look at his age? Because he's 72 years old. He'll be 73 going into the next season.
Bill ain't it, dude. Bill ain't it.
Why do Spurs fans get all butthurt when I tell them that no one wants Pop and no one wants Belichick? They're the same, dude. They're the same person. Brian Flores at 8-1 odds. Get that first Latino. And then at 9-1 odds, Joe, Cliff Kingsbury. Now, Brian Flores was a former defensive coordinator for the Vikings and coach under Bill Belichick back in the day. Was also head coach, I believe, at Miami for a while. But Cliff Kingsbury, who's from New Braunfels, we've seen what he's been able to do to turn around the quarterback play of so many different quarterbacks over the years. Offensive coordinator right now with the Washington Commanders, seeing what he's done with Jaden Daniels. It's a Texas guy. Coach at Texas Tech.
But you know what?
Arizona Cardinals.
The biggest problem with all these coaches is Jerry's going to pick who Jerry wants. And Jerry has shown that he is a shitty GM. So I'm more than certain that Jerry's going to pick a coach that he can control, be his puppet, and it's still not really going to do much for this team. They're going to be elated in mediocrity for another 20-something years, dude.
Joe, it sounds to me like as a Cowboy fan, what you want to do is you want to grab a pillow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just smother Jerry Jones.
Well, you don't got to do that, because if you've seen Jerry after some of these games, when he's talking with the media, he looking kind of rough, dude. The Reaper's knocking on his door already, man.
The Reaper is popping his fingers.
He's like, Jerry, looking at that clock, Jerry. Time is coming up, brother. He's probably got maybe one more. Was it Cowboys camp left in him? 2.
Well, let me ask you this question: why would anybody want to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
That's a good question. If Jerry Jones is still the GM and the owner, why would you want to coach this team?
Drew Show saying, first off, I meant for the Dallas Cowboys because I am aware of Tom Flores of the early 80s, who, by the way, made the Hall of Fame like 3 decades later. How Tom Flores was not a Hall of Fame head coach is beyond me. It was like 30 years late. And he didn't have as long of a career as he should have had. So, no, I'm fully aware of Mr. Tom Flores.
Sith, the Lord Elias, he says, Jerry won't die. And he says, evil lives forever. Yeah, man, Jerry ain't going out anytime soon. Hopefully, though, if he does, in fact, decide to retire or, he's like health issues, they won't allow him to do the GM and be the eyes of the franchise anymore. Everybody's looking at Jerry and it falls to the son. Who's to say that the son is going to do a better job? Right. Yeah, man.
Let's talk about real fast Yellowstone, which premiered over the weekend.
Ratings for Yellowstone came out. Got to tell you, man.
Yellowstone, I got to watch again last night. Oh, you already had it locked and loaded.
I already locked and loaded because I knew we were going to bring it up. And this is showing you what the viewership was at. I mean,
16.4 million viewers for part 2 of season 5. Wow.
And this was what drew, I guess, the viewership just on CBS alone, not including the other platforms that they show Yellowstone on.
Yeah.
Just CBS alone, they had 5.4 million viewers.
Did they show the actual Yellowstone new episode? Really? Didn't know that. I know my parents are trying to get into Paramount and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode last night. I love Yellowstone. I think Yellowstone is one of the best TV shows ever made.
Yeah, it's The Sopranos, but for Cowboys.
For Cowboys,
yeah.
It's also like Succession.
What did they call themselves? The Livestock Police,
yeah,
or something like that.
The Dutton family. You got Beth and Rip and all that stuff. I think too much time had passed because Kevin Costner didn't want to do the show anymore. He's like, "Hey man, I've done so much of the show. I want out of this show," and he just didn't show up anymore. And so much time passed. Like, what was normally like, okay, well, you're going to get one part of the season in the beginning in the spring and the other part in the fall. So much time has passed, Joe, that I was watching the show last night thinking to myself, I don't care about the Duttons anymore. Like, I don't care. So they kill off, and I'm not giving anything away, they kill off Kevin Costner's character. That was the whole point of the season, right? They had to redo the show to basically rewrite it so that they can show Kevin Costner's character being killed off. He didn't film any of it. So they had to do a show where he dies without showing him.
Yeah.
The episode sucked. And I hope that it's going to be better throughout the season.
What did you say? I waited 2 years for this shit.
I was like, this is it?
I'm glad I don't watch Yellowstone, dude. I don't.
It's a great show.
I've watched episodes here and there. I'm just like, it's all right. It's probably not my thing, though.
But this, so much time has passed. It's kind of like, we forgot about it. There's a certain rhythm to the shows being released, and so much time has passed. It's like I forgot about Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And then my mom's talking to me about it, or my family's talking to me about it, rather, my sister and my dad. And I'm there going, oh yeah, it's supposed to come back. 60 million viewers, though. That ain't bad, dude. That ain't bad for TV in the year 2024. So very nice. Spurs back in action tomorrow. Trying to get back to 500 against the Wizards.
They're going to start the in-season tourney. Actually starts tonight. Spurs are going to be playing the Lakers for the NBA Cup. That's going to take place on Friday the 15th. So that's when they start getting into the tourney.
Tonight, the Atlanta Hawks take on the Boston Celtics. Again, Boston Celtics are going to roll them. They're favored by 15.5 points. Hawks will fall to 4-8. The Spurs have the first-round draft pick of the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks playing without both Trae Young and Bogdan Bogdanovic. They also have 3 other players who are out. That should
Maybe
be
the
a
Hawks
victory.
call the Spurs and say, we already know how the season's going to
Yeah.
end. Let's make a deal.
If the season ended right now, the Hornets pick would actually convey to the Spurs.
Yeah, I know, man.
Because the Hornets are 4-6 and they're winning. They're winning some games. Tonight they played the Orlando Magic. We need the Hornets to win.
I forgot where I saw this, but there was another NBA player calling out LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
And they were saying that he's not a top tier player in the NBA.
I like LaMelo.
They said that I'm just saying this is a
Yeah.
beef going on right now. I was like, what?
The Knicks take on the Sixers. Here's the thing. Who would have thought that these two teams combined would be 6-12 at this point in the season?
Not me.
The Sixers got to get better than the Atlanta Hawks, right? Because the Hawks can fall a little bit further down. The Bucks, 9-point favorites tonight against the Raptors. The Bucks at 2-8, Joe. See, that's when I look at that Atlanta Hawks pick and I think to myself, there's no way in the world the Hawks are going to have a better record than the Knicks, Sixers, and Bucks. So right now, when it's projected to be a top 8 pick, no, those 3 teams should get above Atlanta at some point. Suns play the Jazz. Warriors, Mavericks. Mavericks at 5-5, Joe. Think about that, Joe. Let's look at the standings real quick. Are you telling me that in 24 hours, it's possible that the Spurs could have a better record than the Dallas Mavericks?
Possible.
Goes to show we don't know what we don't know.
But it's early on in the season.
Who are we taking on again tomorrow, Joe?
The Wizards, 2-7.
I don't know, Joe.
But you know what?
We're going to be fair to win that game.
That's a trap game, though. Same thing happened with the Jazz. The Jazz had only won 1 game. They came in and faced the Spurs, and what happened? Won 2 games because they won 1 year. Same thing can happen, So it's
I'm looking at StubHub right now. Tickets as low as $4, but you add all the fees,
$14.
it'll be $23.
There you go. You know what? I was going to show this too, right as we start bringing this to a close because I got to get ready for work here.
Yeah.
If you got $3 million, you can buy a fully functional, not street legal, replicant of the Batmobile from Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy.
Nice.
Said Warner Brothers is selling 10 fully functional but not street legal replicants of the iconic vehicle for the low price of $3 million. They could be yours.
Very cool. That's badass. I'm not a big superhero guy, but I think that's badass.
Driving that bad boy
Yeah.
around.
Hey, Joe, Friday's show. Maybe I'll do a segment from the beach.
Can?
Maybe I'll do a segment from out there.
Depends on how hungover you are.
Very true. Very true.
You'll be out there having fun,
Be there with a pina colada.
You'll be with the sunglasses on.
Be a 48-hour trip, man. Just get there and come back. Spirit Airlines, baby.
But there's
Spirit
nothing
Airlines.
worse than getting over there into Florida, man. When you get off that plane and that humidity just slaps you in the face, dude.
Yeah.
As soon as you get out, you're trying to get to your Uber or what have you, and those glass doors open, whoosh.
Mhm.
You think San Antonio's bad with the humidity. Miami's worse, man.
It is. Dude, Miami and Houston suck when it comes to humidity.
Yeah.
Everyone have a fantastic day. Christian Ochoa reaching out to us asking thoughts on Steph Castle. He's my boy, dude. He's my son. He's my son. He looks like an NBA player. He acts like an NBA player. He has great vision. The shots are starting to go down a little bit. I like how he attacks the bucket. One of my favorite plays was from the game last night. Champagny was making fun of him going into the locker room at halftime because Castle did this thing where he drove into the lane and did a delayed layup because he let the defense go by.
Hezzy, man.
He did a hesitation move. That was awesome, man. That right there is high-end basketball. When you see that. Tonight, if you want to go boomy, I'm doing varsity basketball tonight, fellas. Girls varsity. I've got Stevens High School at Johnson High School. Going to be doing this at the Northeast ISD complex. 23203 Bulverde Road.
Look at that. Drew Show wants to close the show out with the grito, and he's paying for it.
Let's do it, baby.
You're paying
Drew
for
Show,
it.
thank you so much, man.
Got to do it, man.
Everyone have a fantastic day.
Thanks, man. We'll see you boys tomorrow.
See ya.
We're out. Peace.